Hi, how do we recruit for attitude? So this is a piece of training I received some years ago, and I was reminded of it just last week, and I thought it would be really cool for my daughters who are graduates because they both exemplify exactly what I'm talking about here, and I believe that if they use this in their recruitment strategy, they will get a really good job, and the employer who was lucky enough to employ them would be able to recruit employees that they would be glad they did in years to come. So let's look at this. There's two axes here. The first one is, let's call it will, and really what that means is attitude. And in the second one, we're going to call it skill. And this is skill to do a specific piece of work. Okay, so the greater the skill is on the left axis and the better the attitude is on the right axis. Now, every person in your organization today will be able to be plotted on this grid here. And if when I say grid, let's make it a grid. So we'll just put a quadrant in there so we can see more clearly where we are and what we're talking about. So every person will be able to be plotted against an attitude. So somewhere along this axis, they will be able to be plotted. So they'll either have a poor attitude or low willingness to do work or learn or help, towards a high attitude where they're really willing to learn, they're willing to help, they're willing to put themselves out, they're willing to demonstrate reliability and aptitude and an attitude to be able to be a great asset to an organization. Similarly, every person in your organization today will be able to be plotted against the skill axis. They'll either have low skill and be training, or have high skill and be really good at what they're able to do. Now, think about this for a second. Have you got people in your organization who have high skill but a poor attitude to work? Okay, so they're sort of there. They're very good at what they do, but the attitude to work is so bad. They take time off, they don't get on with team members, they rub people the wrong way, they're not good with customers, they're not good with your clients, they're not good at playing the team game, they're not good at exemplifying the values your organization holds dear, yet they have high skill. Now, how easy is it to manage or work with those people? They may have all the skills and abilities that you need, but because of their poor will and attitude, they're typically really hard to manage. They are demotivational to the team, and they also attract people from other areas of the grid into this. It's like a black hole. It's like negative gravity, and they try to pull people in, because what people will do is think, well, if they can get away with this, I'm going to, why should I put the effort in? They're getting paid a load of money because of their skill, I presume, and look at what they're allowed to get away with. Why should I work hard? And people who have typically great attitude will then begin over time, and it doesn't take very long for them to learn that, if you're not willing to do anything about this, why should they exempt the attitude they want? Now, on the other side of the scale, you get people who are really cool on attitude. Now, I put my daughters in with this because, one of them works 14-hour shifts and will go in and cover for other people's sicknesses. She will work double shifts. She will work till 1 o'clock in the morning and get there on train strikes. Another daughter has been given, she's had no skill, but her attitude is so good. She was given supervisory skills at a large organization she works with. Bigger supervisory skills than people with treble her experience, because of her attitude, because of her maturity, because of her ability not to let people down, to turn up on time, to use her brain when others around them want just to be led like a horse to water, or if that's even a possibility sometimes. So what I'm suggesting is this, and what I suggested to them is this. What they have in ample proportions is a high level of attitude, right? They've got really good attitude, because for any employer, I guarantee they would rather have somebody with a high attitude and train the skill than hire someone with a high skill, because it's really impossible, very much always, to train for attitude. You can train the skill, you can train that skill without too much of a problem if they're willing to learn and they have an interest in the area, which they do. In the areas they're interested in, they clearly have an interest. They've done a degree in it, they're keen on the subject matter, they're keen on acquiring the ability to do even more of it, they're willing to work for a bit less money to start off with to prove their worth, and they're willing to acquire the skill. However, somebody with a poor attitude here, to get them to go across here is nearly impossible. To train for attitude is almost impossible, because you're trying to change somebody's innate behavior. You're trying to change what's inside them. And as you can probably tell, it's much easier to start with something who's got something good inside them and train the skill in there. Now, in here, you will have your stars, because they got high skill and the right attitude. They work well with your team. They work really well with your clients. They exemplify your values. They never let you down. They even offer to turn up when they're sick, like my daughters do. And that is a star in the making. Now, anyone who is provided, and I have taken on people in my organization who don't have the skill I require, but they exemplify the attitude, and I'm so glad I did, because very quickly they acquire the skill and become stars in the organization. Whereas in the past, I've taken on people because they have the skill and they didn't exemplify the attitude, thinking, oh, I would be able to change them. I'm a really good leader. I'll be able to change them and, bring them over this way or this way. And it just never worked. And so what I would recommend always is first look for the right attitude. If you can get attitude and skill at the same time, fantastic. In the case of my daughters, they have not got the skill yet because they haven't been exposed to the workplace in their chosen career. However, I have no doubt that within months of starting a job, an employer will spot the right attitude. They will then give them more opportunities to acquire more skill, which they will acquire very quickly. And within a matter of months, within a couple of years, they will be stars in their organization and winners for the business, for themselves, and for you. So hopefully that's been an interesting piece of drawing there. I quite like my arrows and stuff. This was done in front of my daughters because I would like them to put this on their CV as a way of explaining why they're a great fit for any employer, and why any employer would be super lucky to have them as a critical employee in the next few months. So take care of yourself. If you have any questions on this, have a look at, and by the way, plot your team. It's really a good exercise. If you just create a grid and you plot your team in this area, and you will know by looking at this and putting names on this, who are the people who are much easier to manage and work with and teach than the others. Okay? Because the worse the attitude, the harder it is to do anything with them. They're harder to teach, they're harder to work with, they're harder to motivate, like I said, they will lend other people into that quadrant if you let that continue. So this is Gordon De Silva signing off. Let me just sign off. Yay! So, my number, if you need it, book on a 10-minute quick fix call if you want it. It's on the buttons on the right. And of course, if you're a Premier client, book on a 60-minute strategy call if you'd like to build this strategy into your next hire. So, hiring for winners. How about that? That's going to be the name of the blog. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye.